The Shep Naz Podcast begins now.
You're listening to the Shep Naz Podcast, a podcast at Shepherd Church. Everything we do here is to help people take their next step toward Jesus, and this podcast is part of that. We want to help you engage daily in spiritual development. Today, we are excited to have a conversation with some folks here at Shepherd who made a recent trip to Ecuador to spread the gospel, to work, and to serve the people there. And so we've brought them in, and they are going to just share that experience and everything that went into it, maybe some of their most fond memories, and maybe even some of the ones that they'd like to forget. So welcome in Rachel, Gene, and Karen, and we are excited for them to be here. As we get started, I think it would be a great idea if you guys would be able to introduce yourselves a little bit to our listeners. Some people are going to know you, and they're excited to watch this, hear this. And then just like you, there are a lot of people who might not know you at all. And so it'd be great for them to kind of get to hear you. And since Rachel is on the screen in front of us, why don't you start for us?
Sure. My name is Rachel Smith, and I've been attending Shepherd a little over 10 years, give or take. My family and I, when we moved back to Ohio, we just kind of settled in and found a Nazarene church close by. And so, yep.
Awesome.
That's me.
Great. Gene?
Hi, I'm Gene Rogers. I've attended Shepherd for a little over 20 years.
All right.
I became a Nazarene in 1971, I believe, and I've been in 3 churches, and this is where we've ended our Nazarene career. We are now attending the Johnstown campus, though.
All right. Yeah, some Johnstown love in the building. All right.
Hi, I'm Karen Michael, and I've been here at Shepherd for about 5 years, right after COVID. Mm-hmm. Things got real stressful, and I turned back to God and regave my life to Him, and I have been here ever since.
Awesome.
So I am very happy here at Shepherd.
So great. Well, thanks guys for coming in today, for jumping on your phone. I know that you're got busy schedule, so thankful for that. Let's talk about the trip. So you guys took a trip to Ecuador just a few weeks ago. It's not been that long, but it's been long enough for you guys to kind of digest what has happened there and kind of what you experienced. Talk about the beginnings of the trip and getting kind of wanting to go on it and feel like God's pulling you in that direction. Because I know that though we do like to look for things like that, many times in a trip that's going in a mission trip, you're being pulled on that even though you might not think that you're ready for it. Does that make sense? So talk about the pull to go on the trip and kind of the excitement that started it. Anybody can jump in.
Okay. I know God was speaking to me when I saw it come across, and I was like, are you sure? I questioned a lot of things, mm-hmm. and we were doing Experiencing God in our Bible study.
Okay.
And that helped me to realize a lot of things about the church and the head of the church, and everybody is part of the body of the church. And I talked to my Sunday school class about it, and I was like, I don't know why. I'm kind of broken, and, I'm older, and what am I going to do, So they gave me a lot of encouragement. And good. I went ahead and said, okay, I need to listen to God and do what He tells me for once. I went a long time in my life without actually following through with what He tells me to do. So I'm trying to change all of that and just listen and do what He tells me to do.
Awesome.
I have a passion for missions. For many years I've been that, and I was a missionary president here at Shepherd 10 years I think I ended a couple years ago. But I've been on, I think this was my 12th Work and Witness trip. Okay. Even though they don't call it Work and Witness anymore, it's still a Work and Witness trip to me.
Yeah. So
when this opportunity came up for a district trip, I decided, hey, it's a different country, I haven't been there, let's do this one. So awesome. I signed up.
Awesome.
Yeah, I shared a passion. I was younger, really 15, started going on mission trips, and studied that in school at one point as well, but in a different path, and ended up becoming a nurse. And I've then had kids, which made traveling outside of the country a little bit more difficult. So my kids are getting older, and I'm starting to lead God's calling on my life still with missions and ministry and trying to figure out what that looks like. Mm-hmm. And I've only been able to go on 2 mission trips since my kids have been born. So this would be my 3rd one. And I think it was just, again, as I've been leaning into God's calling on my life. And then when I heard that it was Ecuador, which is where I studied abroad, it was just
okay
for me. Like, this is definitely something that God would want you to go back and experience and be a part of. So, yeah.
And what was it like traveling with folks from across the district, kind of joining in on a grander team that would go and because sometimes I think that we get in our box, our little shepherd box, and we don't remember that we're part of this bigger family. What was it like working with people that maybe you've never met before and serving together?
That was really wonderful. It really was, meeting more people from our district and people who believe just like I believe, and they encouraged me, and I helped encourage them, and I made a lot of new friends, and I'm very grateful for that.
Great.
Join us for Springfest 2024 at Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, a family event filled with joy and community spirit. Bring your kids to teach you songs and dances and enjoy a warm welcome to our church family. Experience fun with inflatables, a petting zoo, face painting, crafts, and yard games. Savor free hot dogs, chips, and water, plus treat yourself with Kona Ice available for purchase. Mark your calendars for April 21st from 4 to 6 p.m. Don't miss out on the fun at Springfest. Shepherd Church is located at 425 South Hamilton Road, Gahanna, Ohio. Visit shepnaz.org/spring-fest.
Really not necessarily about the work that we do, but it's about the people that we meet and the relationships that are built, because that's what can spur, flames back to us. So it's not just the other people from the district, but also meeting people from another country and just realizing how big God is. Mm-hmm. So their God is my God, and getting to experience that. And I agree, kind of having some of those district ties is nice because kind of extends our friendships around the state of Ohio, which is cool.
Yeah. We, for those of you who don't know, you're here listening and you're a part of Shepherd, or maybe you're not a part of Shepherd, the Church of Nazarene, which is what we are a part of in our denomination, it's broken up into districts, and those districts are, it's really just regionalized churches, and our district is South Central Ohio, and it's sort of everything in the Columbus area, and then you just go straight across I-70 to the border of Ohio, and almost kind of straight down 71 is that part of Ohio. And so the last time I heard, it's like 75 churches. Somebody's going to correct me on that, and that's fine. It's around that many. And we all kind of work together. And so this was a trip that the district sponsored to invite people on. And so people from all over the district was part of it.
There were 24 in our trip, and
awesome.
8 churches were represented in
That's
these
so great.
24 people.
Awesome.
It was headed by Pastor Jerry Carpenter of the Hebron Church.
Okay.
So he and his wife, Carol Lee, who is the president of the district missionary council, were on the trip.
Awesome. So let's talk about what we're a part of. Some of the things that you got to be a part of, the people you met, and projects that you were working on. Well,
the main work that we did in terms of construction was to assist in putting up trusses. The trusses had already been formed by one of the guys who was there, someone at the seminary. They were built at the seminary in Quito, and they were in 2 pieces. The first task that they did was to weld 2 pieces together to make the complete truss, and then they also had to weld together metal purlins so we installed the trusses, put on the purlins, and then put on the sheet metal for the roof.
Cool.
Another task that was involved was filling in the floor with rocks and dirt and sand, and then pouring all the concrete to do the floor, and build a little stage at one end of the sanctuary.
Awesome.
That was the construction part. Rachel can talk about the VBS if she'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like I was all over the place.
Kids ministry, right?
I feel like everyone tried to pitch in where they could and do things. So, I did stuff with the construction, but not my forte. I'm not very strong. So I was in charge of leading the Vacation Bible School, which ended up going very well. We didn't have a lot of information going in, but we did 4 days of Vacation Bible School there at the job site. And we ended up, I think, by day 4, had around, Karen, you correct me, 70 to
76, I think.
Wow.
And it was really, really awesome for me to see how established this church was, even though they didn't have a building. Mm-hmm. So the requirements down there was they had to be meeting for over 7 years. So they had been doing this in houses in a little structure that had been built by the district. So, but they were very established. The community knew them. They had leaders in the church. It wasn't just me or our team up there leading. We were definitely working together alongside of the Ecuadorian people, which I thought for me was a great win. And we got to learn some songs and learn some funny dances. And then the kids, I got to tell the story. I'm fluent in Spanish. And so they asked me to do the teaching or preaching. They just assumed it would be kind of cool for a white girl to speak Spanish and the kids might get a kick out of it instead of one of them doing it. So they did. I feel like they followed along with me, but they really liked playing the games and doing the crafts. Mm-hmm. Actually, mamas even got involved with the crafts and got pretty excited about that. On the 3rd day, we got to talk about salvation and offer, an opportunity for the kids to make that decision to follow Christ. And I was kind of hesitant, coming from an American background. I wanted to be sensitive and talk through this. And I'm like, I don't know if this is appropriate after only knowing these kids for 3 days. And I was really surprised when one of the local leaders said, we offer that opportunity every day. We want kids to be able to make that decision every single day. It doesn't matter if you just met them or you've known them for a year. So that was really empowering to me and super cool to see that, they just supported that evangelical, approach. And I think there were about 20 kids that came to accept Jesus as their savior. And that was really awesome.
Wow. Praise God.
Yeah. And then another neat thing that we got to do was on the last day that we weren't at the construction site, we actually went to an indigenous village. And we were only there for a few hours, but I was asked to do a VBS program there that day. We didn't have as many kids. It was probably 15 or less. But still, it was a fun time of just fellowshipping with that church that was there and the kids and the people. So just neat to get to see kids and parents. And again, for me, making my worldview and my God view much bigger every time, because these people that live such totally different lives than me still worship the same God, I think is pretty neat.
We hope you've been enjoying this conversation with Joey, Gene, Karen, and Rachel. We're going to pause that for today, and we'll continue their conversation tomorrow. As always, we thank you so much for joining us. We'd like to encourage you to drop us a note by emailing podcast@shepnaz.org. Be sure to keep up to date by visiting us at shepnaz.org and following us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For Pastor Joey, I'm Joe. Have a great day. This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.